Welcome, everybody. Can you hear the cryings in your soul? There's more than one. It's up to you to choose who you feed tonight. You have been invited to a party. If you choose to come, make sure to have your mind and body ready, because you are going to have the most amazing time. See you there. I received a message from an unknown number. I was young and reckless, and I didn't want to miss out on a party that promises an awesome time. I quickly got dressed and headed out. I reached the house at around 7 p.m. I was welcomed by a bunch of eccentric drunk people who dragged me in. Next thing I knew, I was chugging a beer bong, all the while being watched by those same people. From the moment I entered the house to the time I woke up the next day, I could only piece together little parts of that night. I didn't bother to remember, thinking that as long as I had a good time, it was good enough. As I was standing in front of the mirror changing, I noticed 2 tally marks behind my back. I tried scratching, rubbing, and scrubbing it off, but nothing worked. I didn't feel any pain, so I shrugged it off, and maybe it was a tattoo or something. I'll have it checked out someday. You have been invited to a party. You are bound to experience a more unforgettable time than last time. If you choose to come, be better prepared. See you there. I received another message a week later. I tried calling the sender, but it was an unregistered number. I had doubts in my mind, but I wanted to find out what happened last time. Of course, I was not stupid enough to go alone, so I asked my brother and his best friend to come with me. They were both pretty buff, and for a scrawny person like me, having them around makes me feel safe. So that night came, and I tried to make sure that I stayed alert. When we walked up to the door, we were quickly stopped by the men standing guard. "Invitation only," they said. They looked me in the eyes and gestured for me to go in. My brother resisted quite strongly, but was overpowered. In the end, I went in by myself. Similar to last time, I was welcomed by a bunch of people who were putting drinks in my hand. They were pressuring me to chug it down, but I kept stalling and putting them down. I wasn't able to keep it up though, because a few of the guys grabbed me by the arms, forcefully opened my mouth, and poured the drinks in me. I remember feeling all choked up and pushing everybody aside to get to the bathroom. I pushed 2 fingers down my throat, getting myself to puke out all the alcohol. It took a lot of tries and a whole lot of retching. Ultimately, I threw up. I knew that if I wanted to figure this whole thing out, I had to be smart. I went out the bathroom, and standing by the door were some of the guys. I stumbled and tripped over them, spitting out gibberish while wiping my mouth of the puke and just being all over them. I did a pretty good job because they weren't suspicious at all. We partied for another hour or so until they brought me to the basement. It was like a whole different world down there. While the party upstairs was loud and full of people, down there it had only around 8 people, and half of them were unconscious partygoers. I was made to sit and wait in line, and one by one, they undressed our tops. They laid us face down, and I couldn't make out what happened after, because I passed out when they started to carve tally marks on my back. The following day, I woke up in my bed once again. This time around, I did not waste any time. I went straight to the police station and told them about the organized torture party. Even as I showed them the marks on my back, they downplayed the situation, saying it was probably just a bunch of drunks fooling around. Unless there was a murder, or at least an attempt, they are not going to be able to enter the premises and start an investigation. I went out the station feeling hopeless and was chased after by a different police officer. "Look, I can help you. Meet me at 7 o'clock, she said. I agreed and went on my way. For the next 6 hours, I researched and bought some items for the non-official investigation. I got some flashlight, a pocket knife, a helmet, and a thick padded vest. I made sure the batteries were changed, my armor were securely fastened, and I had 911 on speed dial. When night came, I secretly met up with the officer and went inside. We went around the back entrance and quietly entered. The lights were turned off, and there was still the smell of alcohol in the air. We maneuvered through the spilled drinks, empty pizza boxes, and broken glasses that peppered the floor, and finally reached the basement. The officer went in first, her gun ready to be able to fire at any moment. I pointed the flashlight to the corner of the room where I remember being shoved, and lo and behold, there was a carving knife on the floor. I excitedly ran towards it, trying to bag it as evidence, but out of the dark, a figure appeared and took a stun gun to my neck, and I passed out for the third time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's show. In front of you stand 10 beautiful people ready to entertain you. If you wish to spend the rest of your stay here with one of them, please inform one of our staffs and they shall be yours. Remember, it is first come first serve, so be quick. I woke up to the applause of the crowd sitting in front of me, and without a second to lose, they started to make us come up front one by one. They started from the girl who wore a number 1 badge. My heart started to race and my mind went frantic. My eyes darted across the room looking for a familiar face to ask for help. Then number 4 came forward. I almost missed it, but he had the same marks as I did. It wasn't exactly the same though. Mostly the thickness of the lines were different. They were lined perfectly, as if it was enclosed in a rectangle. It was as if it was a barcode. Sold. Number 7, please come up. That moment I realized the parties I attended were scouting events. Their numbers went up almost simultaneously and the winner was picked. A masked man came slowly up the stage, put his hand on my shoulder, and turned me around. His hand slowly goes down my back and he scans my code. It all suddenly felt real and that my body just went into shock and I dropped to the floor. With me not being able to stand up, they had some people lift me up and drag me out with my buyer. I was put into this room, handcuffed to the bed, and then they left. I looked around if there was anyone around who was guarding the room, but everything seemed empty. I used that time to plan my escape. I looked for items in the room that would be useful. I reached for the bedside table and used my feet to open the drawers. On one side, there was a Bible, and on the other side was a key. I looked towards the door and hanging there was a fire escape plan. I couldn't clearly see from where I was at, but I could somehow make out that the fire exit was at the end of the hallway. There was also a small window in the room. I was still in the middle of planning when he came in. He looked at me straight in the eye, grinned, and went into the shower. If I were to escape, I knew that I had to do it soon. 5-minute tops, but I couldn't reach into the drawer. I pulled and wriggled my hands to the point that they bled. I cried as loud as I could and he came running out. I couldn't utter any words. I just looked at him begging for help. He came close and put his finger up to my mouth and hushed me silent. He caressed my face as I begged for help. It hurts. Please. He smiled, took the key, and uncuffed both my hands. He helped sit me up and went to the washroom to what I assumed was to get the first aid kit. As soon as he went to search, I took one of the cuffs and cuffed it to the bed. I waited for him to sit beside me and cuffed him. The surprise had him frantically trying to break free, but I sat on top of him and held a pillow over his face. I smothered him. I kept smothering him. He was trying to push me away. I kept going and going, putting in more strength every second. When he stopped moving, I got off and quietly opened the door to take a peek. There were guards everywhere. The window. I opened the window and jumped out, but somebody grabbed one of my legs and my face smashed onto the concrete wall. She slowly pulled me back up, revealing herself. It was that police officer. She pushed me to the bed, punched me a few times, and went to unlock the cuffs. That moment, I took the gun from her holster and pointed it towards them. "Let me out! Let me out!" I screamed. They both tried to calm me down, but I did what I had to do. 2 shots. Before the bullet shells even fell to the floor, I jumped out the window and landed straight into the dumpster. Luckily, the huge commotion was heard by the passers-by, and the ambulance and police were called. I was lucky I got out alive, but I am forever physically and emotionally scarred. It is a reality that I never want to relive. Thank you everybody for watching this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys would like to support our channel, please click the like and subscribe button down below. If you guys would like to send us your stories, please send it to the email address found in the description box down below. And we are putting in timestamps on our video, that way if you want to skip the intro, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, have a great day. Bye!